Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome to this first Less Fox Friday of 2026. I have already pushed record on this so many times, and I don't know if it's stage fright or I'm trying to force it or I'm just out of the rhythm. And I'm also giving too many Fox. This is Less Fox Friday, not more Fox Friday. Because when we give less Fox, we create the space in our mental vaults to find clarity. Who do I want to be in this situation? How do I want to show up? And what's most important to me? How would I like this to come out? Who I want to be in this situation right now is someone who offers you a fresh perspective, someone who holds up a lens for you to look through that prompts you to think, that's interesting. I never looked at it that way before. Or, it's funny. I was just thinking that, but I didn't want to say it out loud. How would I like to show up? I would like to show up feeling grounded, feeling confident, and remembering that all the voices in my head that are telling me all the ways I've effed up these previous recordings are just voices, just thoughts. They're not the truth. The truth is, I'm still here. I'm showing up. I'm trying again. And what is most important to me? What's most important to me is that we pull a card and see what it says. I'll offer you some insights. I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So, it's upside down, so it wants our attention. And it says, Fox, F, fear. It will lie to your face. I cannot tell you how many times I have said this to people, not necessarily with this beginning word, but have said, these monkeys in your head will make up stories all day long. Why? Number one, that's what our brains do. Our magnificent minds love to connect the dots and to fill in the blanks. And when we don't keep them busy and engaged, they find ways to entertain themselves. One of the ways our magnificent minds entertain themselves is by making up the information, by making up the stories, by bringing us a sensation in our bodies that feels activating, that our brains say, are you afraid? Are you scared? Are you nervous? How does that feel? Fear. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to put a caveat in here. I am not one who says, F fear, leap, and the net will appear. The thought of jumping off a cliff and building the airplane on the way down, or spreading my wings while I fly, or whatever other metaphor you care to throw in there, is not for me. Even the thought of leaping off the cliff, proverbial or literal, I would have to be very strongly convinced to jump out of an airplane with a parachute and bubble wrap and springs on my feet, all the things, because why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? At the same time, fear is a mechanism that our magnificent minds have created to help keep us safe. And fear will lie to our faces, not because it's a lying liar, not because it wants to keep us down, but to help us protect ourselves from fear, from failure, from mistakes, from disappointment, right? We talk ourselves out of so many opportunities because of fear. We talk ourselves into staying small. We talk ourselves into not really doing anything different right now because it just doesn't feel right. Here's the trick. Both those anxious feelings and our own inner wisdom, our intuition, tend to land in the same physical area in our bodies. Our intuitive voice, that inner knowing voice, tends to come from like the abdominal area, the lower torso, below the rib cage, around the belly button. That's also where we get butterflies when we feel fearful or anxious, right? So if you're trying to discern, is this my anxiety telling me to cool my jets? Or is this my inner wisdom telling me to cool my jets? It's a beautiful opportunity to pause and check in with your body. How's my breathing right now? Do I feel tight and constricted? Is it hard for me to take a breath? Do I feel my shoulders up around my ears? Am I holding myself in a certain position? When I feel anxious, when the anxiety is on me, as the Irish say, I tighten up. Everything tightens up to the point where I do not even take a full stride when I'm walking. I take these little shuffly old lady steps, and I love old ladies. I take these little shuffly old lady steps because I just get so tight when the anxiety is on me, when the fear is on me. That is not how my intuition feels. My intuition feels relaxed. My intuition feels grounded, not heavy, but anchored, solid, foundational. And I've learned over the last decade, especially, to trust my intuition, to feel that feeling of settledness in my body, to be able to take a full breath and spread my collarbones and squeeze my shoulder blades back and down and open my heart and take the next step, even when it feels risky, especially when it feels risky. Because I remember that my intuition has that grounded feeling. My anxiety, even though it's coming from the same space in my body, my anxiety, nope, the anxiety that's on me, because it's not mine, the anxiety that lands on me creates a tension in my body. My intuition invites relaxation. The anxiety causes everything to constrict in my body, to my blood vessels, to my field of vision. I mean, not dramatically, but I definitely notice that I'm focusing much more forward when the anxiety is on me because I'm scanning for threat. When the intuition is on me, I have a much broader point of view. My voice is slower. My gestures are much more circular. I feel softer. When the fear and anxiety are upon us, it can come from the same place in our bodies, from that lower torso place. It also registers in other areas of the body. When my intuition speaks, I feel it deep in that lower torso, almost as though someone hit a gong, like one of those big Asian gongs. And it just reverberates out, and you can feel the vibration in your rib cage and your lungs. That's what my intuition feels like. So this week, I would invite you to tune into what your body is telling you. And remember that fear will lie to your face. The monkeys in our monkey minds, the monkeys that play in the anxiety and the chaos and the fear, the monkeys will do anything they can to keep our attention. And their job, the monkey's job, the ego's job, is to keep us safe by keeping us small. When we say F fear, it doesn't mean we have to jump off the cliff. You can F fear and take one small aligned action. How do we know it's an aligned action? It has that same body feeling, that same resonance as the intuitive voice, as the inner knowing, as that deep reverberant gong that we can feel in our very bones, in our marrow. When we say F, fear, and we take one small aligned action, sorry, distraction, we are moving ourselves closer to the lives we say we truly want. You don't have to blow up the bridge. You don't have to burn the boats. There may come a time. I don't feel like that time is today. You will know when it's time for you to burn the boats. In the meantime, what if you allowed yourself to notice the sensation in your body when your brain is sounding, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger, there's an alarm here, there's a threat here, we are afraid, we feel fear. Okay, make sure you're safe, get your physical body to a place of safety, and check in. How does this feel in my body? How can I recalibrate myself? How can I calm my nervous system? A great way to do that is to emulate the gong, to hum as low in your throat as you can. I feel a little vibration down here below that hollow spot in my collarbone. When I'm fully relaxed, I can feel the vibration down in my sternum, and that deep hum activates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is a major neural pathway that feeds everything in your body between your brain and everything else that goes on, because our nervous systems coordinate every aspect of our bodies. So when you feel this fear, when this anxiety is on you, remember it's a thought. It's an electrical impulse that your brain is firing. The story that your magnificent mind has attached to that tingly sensation in your body is where the anxiety arises, where the fear arises. And fear will lie to your face every time, not because it's malicious, because it is a century of the ego. Fear wants us to pay attention because there's a part of our brains that believe there's a threat, that believe that something is wrong or soon will be. So when you feel this fear, you can say anything you want to it. You can say, F off. You can say, you jump off the cliff. You can say, you're not welcome here. You can say, what would you like me to know? What do you believe I'm missing? Because fear, like a lot of other emotional states that we can find challenging to regulate, fear is a dysregulator because it snaps our attention right back to this moment. If the fear is on me, you can be darn sure that I am paying absolute attention to everything that's going on around me so that I can decode this fear signal and determine if there's a real threat. Where are we if we're not in the present moment? Anywhere else. In the past, in the future, buried in work, buried in social media, buried in a book. I'd love to be buried in a book. Wherever we are that's not in the present moment, fear is one of those emotional states that instantly brings us into the present. When you feel this, when you notice this sensation in your body, when your nervous system sounds the alarm and activates your attention, invite yourself to first put hand on heart, deep breath. Exhale longer than you inhale. That's an important part. You can take a deep breath and begin to hum. It's already lower. You can, put your hand on your heart to bring yourself to your present moment in your body. Plant your feet on the floor and ask, what is here for me to see? Fear doesn't always have to be scary. It activates the heck out of our nervous systems, which brings up that feeling of scared because of the chemicals that flood our bodies. And we can recognize the sensation and say, oh, it's time for me to pay attention. Because fear will tell us stories to get our attention. And remember, this came in upside down. And I opened by saying, I've already done this so many times. I'm afraid, the fear is on me that I have lost my mojo. I don't believe that's true. So when we feel this sensation that brings the story of fear, remember, fear lies. You can get curious even about fear. Priority is always your safety and well-being. And when you have the space and the time, it doesn't have to be all day. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. What does this fear want me to know? What does this fear think I'm missing? Ask yourself and listen to that voice of your intuition, of your inner knowing. See what it brings to the table. So, thank you so much for joining me in Les Fox Friday again. I look forward to coming back again next week. Until then, please take the very best care.